All right, guys, so there's a whole lot of talk in the political world about Trump's endorsement of the COVID vaccine, right? And there's a whole lot of craziness, right? It's almost like we're living in the twilight zone as people on the left have seemingly come out and praised Trump because of his recent endorsements of the vaccine. I mean, he's been talking about it a lot here lately. In which he was on tour with Bill O'Reilly, and on tour he basically told people that he was vaccinated, and he actually got a booster as well. So again, the left is seeing this as, hey, Trump's coming out here and endorsing the vaccine. What's going on, right? And he's getting a whole lot of praise from the left from that. And on the right, it's a little bit more fuzzy. It's a little bit more crazy, right? Because some people aren't necessarily comfortable with Trump's endorsement of the vaccine, as they feel that he is pushing it on them. Okay. Now, again, this has sparked a whole lot of opinions on this, right? And one particular person that commented on this was Meghan McCain, who is responding to an interview that Trump did with Candace Owens, in which they talked about the mandate, the vaccine, masks. They talked about all kinds of stuff, right? They actually talked about more than that. That's just a part of the interview that everybody's talking about. But they actually had a conversation about other stuff too that I highly recommend people go check out. Okay. But the part of the interview that people are talking about so much, the left is saying, Trump schooled Candace, right? Trump schooled Candace on the vaccine, right? He's pushing back against anti-vaxxer Candace Owens and fighting back against her so-called misinformation. Okay, that's what people on the left are saying. So they're praising Trump for this. Okay, now in my opinion, if you watch the interview, I don't think they were really disagreeing on all that much. To be quite honest with you, I think that they both agreed that they're against the mandate, and then Trump went on to talk about the vaccine and how he thinks that it's a great achievement and how it's saving lives and yada yada yada. Right? That's kind of how it actually went. I don't think there was really much debate between the two in regards to that subject, and regardless of Candace Owens' personal feelings about the vaccine. Okay, so Meghan McCain responded to this, and she said, quote, Trump schooling Candace Owens with facts and logic regarding getting the vaccine is really a sight to behold. Credit where credit is due, and I hate the guy. Right? So again, this is a perfect summary of how people on the left are basically responding to this. Now, Meghan McCain isn't necessarily on the left, but I'm not necessarily sure if she's on the right at this point either, right? So Candace Owens clapped back at Meghan McCain in the most Candace way possible. She basically ethered Meghan McCain as she says, hey Meghan, did you know that the overwhelming majority of people dying and or being hospitalized from COVID-19 are clinically obese? People like you love the vaccine because it allows you to pretend that you care about health. People like me see right through that BS. Now, bro, when I saw this response from Candace, I almost died, right? I almost died of laughter, okay? Because it was the perfect response, right? Because Candace's point here, her overall point is correct, okay? And what she's getting at is that, in light of, this push for the vaccine, people aren't really talking about general health, how our lifestyles in this country has led to obesity in this country, which has contributed to these COVID deaths, right? She's absolutely on point here, okay? As 78% of COVID-19 patients hospitalized in the U.S. are overweight or obese, right? This is according to the CDC. Now, again, the government is coming out here and saying, hey, it's the unvaccinated. But they always leave out the part about obesity, okay? They leave out the part about the additional risk factors that are contributing to these hospitalizations, okay? Because they don't really want to talk about general health and diet and exercise, which is so important for everybody. And that's something I've been kind of talking about here lately. Okay, in regards to how the conversation isn't as focused on things outside of just the vaccine, like, again, diet and exercise. Okay, we live in a country where 42% of adults are obese. Okay, and that's not good, right? The same people that want to push universal health care, right, want everybody to pay for everybody else's health care in this country, okay, they don't want to have this conversation. because a lot of these people on the left who, again, are pushing this, they're all about fat acceptance. Okay. And a part of fat acceptance and body positivity is ignoring the negative health effects of being obese, right? Because they don't really believe in personal responsibility. And obesity, in my opinion, is largely about personal responsibility. Okay. So I think Candace's point here is 100% correct. And she's bringing the conversation back to something that we actually should be talking about in this country, which is the fact that we are an obese country. And that is actually bad for everybody. Okay, again, when you want to talk about hospitalization in this country and how much that has a strain on the medical system, how much that costs people, that's fine if you want to talk about it, right? You want to talk about it, that's fine. But you can't leave out obesity, right? As that has a strain on the healthcare system as well. And that plays into the hospitalizations from COVID, okay? So again, I'm with Candace on this, right? I think that she's actually saying the right things there. Okay. But again, the left, they're not really going to see that. They're not going to see the importance of that as a component for, helping us get through this pandemic. So that, along with the fact that she's low key calling Meghan McCain obese, right? And her, vaccination stance as a way to act like she cares about health. Again, I find that to be absolutely hilarious and genius. And I'm not surprised that it comes from Candace, right? I'm not surprised. Okay. Now, when it comes to Trump and his endorsement of the vaccine, right? That has sparked a lot of conversation on the right. A lot of people are disappointed in Trump in the things that he's saying because they feel like he's pushing it on people, right? And here's what I want to say about that. I don't think that anybody, if they actually been listening to Trump ever since Operation Warp Speed, should be surprised about his stance on the vaccine, right? I mean, Trump is 70-something years old. He's not exactly fit, okay? So he probably feels that he may be at an elevated risk. And I also believe that Trump is a germaphobe as well, right? So I'm not surprised by Trump's vaccine stance, considering, again, Operation Warp Speed, considering that last year he was telling everybody, we're going to get a vaccine, we're working on the vaccine. And at that point last year, everybody on the left, they were basically anti-vaxxers, right? Because they didn't trust the so-called Trump vaccines, right? They didn't trust it, okay? You remember that. Joy Reid was against it. All the liberals on The View, they were against it. Everybody was skeptical of it because Trump was, using the power of the government to partner with the private sector to help push the development of these vaccines, right? So part of the reason why I think Trump is kind of coming out here and saying this is because, one, I think that he feels that he's probably at a higher risk, okay, because of his age and his weight and all that other stuff. He probably feels that way. But then also on top of that is because he probably feels like, Operation Warp Speed and what, that contributed to in regards to the development of the vaccines, he probably wants credit for it, right? I mean, let's just be honest here. He does. But I think what people got to understand here is that what Trump is saying, a lot of people are saying, and particularly people on the right are saying, is that, hey, if you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. However, we don't want to force it on you. We don't want to force the vaccine on you. And that's why I find it strange that a lot of people are uncomfortable with Trump's comments, right, regarding the vaccine. And I understand why, but at the same time, I'm just not all that surprised by the things that he's saying, okay? Now, I think there's some legit criticism of Trump that does come from the right as well, too, in regards to last year going through all these lockdowns and stuff like that and him not doing more about that. But at the same time, he didn't push those lockdowns, okay? He didn't push any type of mandates or anything like that. And I think that if he was still president, I don't think that he would be forcing it on people. Although I do think that he would probably be one of the biggest cheerleaders of the vaccine. I don't think he would be forcing it on people. I think what would be interesting to know is if Trump was president, how the left would feel. I feel like they actually would probably be some of the loudest skeptics of the vaccine if Trump was actually president. Okay, so yeah, Trump coming out here and kind of openly kind of endorsing the vaccines more and more has kind of put us in the twilight zone in regards to politics today. Okay, but hey, it is what it is. But what I find hilarious is Candace Owens' response to Meghan McCain, basically calling her obese and calling out the fact that, a lot of these people that are, on the left so gung-ho about these mandates, in the vaccine, they're ignoring other components of health, like, again, obesity and things like that can also help us get through this pandemic, right? So again, Trump has turned the political world upside down, and I find this to be truly fascinating stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.